and all that. So,
well, I think the bottom line is if you don't enjoy working with kids, no matter what you do, you're not going to be prepared to be a teacher.
right.
So I think a lot of people are put into a position where they graduate from college and really don't have a lot of job opportunity out there, especially with the economy the way it is now.
Right.
And so I'll try teaching.
Right.
And for some of them, it works out. For most of them, it doesn't. So I think the main preparation that would indicate success with a teacher is not necessarily any given program. You just have to like to work with kids,
right.
and you have to know that.
Okay.
So working conditions in the classroom, on campus, you can deal with that if you like what you're doing.
Right.
Because there's always going to be shortages. You're always going to have to share rooms.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might have to float from classroom to classroom. I think most educators kind of expect that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it right to expect that? No, but that's the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like the kids, then you'll like what you're doing.
Right. Okay. So, what would you consider like a model classroom? A typical class? I mean, it's kind of a good typical day in a classroom. Or
I think. Well, first of all, I think the teacher needs to come in with a very positive attitude. You know, you have such a diverse student population that everyone feeds off of positive. You know, it doesn't matter where you come from socioeconomically or ethnically or anything else. If there's a positive influence in the classroom, that's what students are going to respond to. So a good day would be that. As soon as you
just positive.
Yeah, just be positive from the get-go. Engage your kids. If it gets a little loud, it gets a little loud. If there's learning going on, that's a great thing. You know, sometimes we have to be careful not to. Districts buy into these programs in little boxes often, and
right.
you know, we're supposed to conform to these things every 2 or 3 years, it seems. And you know, if that's not you, you're not going to do a good job at it.
Right, right. Can you tell me a little bit about, like, say, management techniques, classroom management techniques that kind of worked for you or didn't? Or?
Well, let me think back. So it's been a little while. I guess the main thing is, as I just mentioned, the positive attitude.
Right.
Because that really takes care of a lot of the management and discipline problems in the classroom. Establishing a relationship with your students, and it's hard to do sometimes when you have 150 kids.
Right.
But it is possible. You know, I used to teach language arts for a lot of years, and one of the things how I connected with my kids is, you know, we did writing journals, and this was 20 years ago. But to read their writing and to respond to their writing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that's the trick. It takes a lot of time.
Right.
When I used to do journals, I'd collect them every week, sometimes every 10 days. Mm-hmm. And it was a great thing, but it was very time consuming. But when the kids got it back, it was almost a race to read what I had written.
Right.
And it was almost a race to write something else.
Okay.
So and those are the kinds of things.
Right. Okay, I see. And let me see. How about challenges? Are there any major challenges that you had to face, like in the classroom? In whatever the working conditions were, and
one, you don't necessarily see this so much in the elementary grades, but starting in the junior high grades when they start to be very flexible as far as class size. One of the challenges, that I found with just having 30 kids in the classroom, it's very hard to engage kids and to do something that's beyond their desk when you have that many kids in a confined space.
Right.
Active learning is a wonderful thing, but if you've got 6 inches from one person to the next, there's only so much activity you can plan.
Right.
So overcrowding, I think, is one. Just the student-teacher ratio.
Right.
I think the other may be parental involvement. Parental involvement's a good thing. It's a really good thing. Lack of is kind of an issue. It seems a lot of times parents get involved when there's a problem, and that's kind of a little bit late
Right.
for parents getting involved.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and I think this is a really good thing, you know, we've gotten to the point where inclusion in the classroom is kind of an everyday thing, and that's wonderful. You know, we need to educate all of our student population. The problem that I ran into my second time around teaching, because I left the profession and came back, I had some classes that were very heavily populated, some with ELL students, some with special ed students, which is a great thing. I'd always been a designated English language learner teacher on my team, so that was nothing new. And I'd always been the inclusion teacher on my team. That was nothing new. But when I came back, I had so many students who were supposed to have someone to assist them from class to class, but it just got so overwhelming, because more often than not there was not that support that came with the student to the classroom. And so you still have the same standards, you still have the same expectations of reaching someplace in the curriculum at a certain time.
Right.
But you have all these other issues that you're dealing with, and you have no support.
Right.
To me, that was my biggest frustration.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Okay.